You have to hit approve.
We've already approved.
Okay.
And just welcome everyone. I'm Josh. I'm the OLLI director, and welcome tonight to our cooking class about appetizers with Christine and Wes. If you don't mind leaving your microphone on mute, especially if you're going to be cooking, just so there's no background noise, but feel free throughout the presentation to unmute, ask questions, cook along if you can. We're going to be cooking here at my home, so I'm going to let Wes and Christine introduce themselves, but yeah, thank you, welcome, and take over.
All right.
Well, welcome. We're excited. If you've joined us before, you know a little bit about us, but we're good friends. In fact, some of our other friends are here. They're going to help us. So you'll see them popping in, Susan and Lynn and Tom and Randy. So we're excited to have some friends helping. So I am I guess, self-taught cook of some kind. Yes. And take lots of lessons from Wes, who chefed for a while, catered for a while, and then had to give it all up for a real job.
Yeah. Wanted to be home nights and weekends.
Yes. So then we do it for fun, and we enjoy teaching with OLLI, and this is kind of our playtime, prepping and everything. So we try, and this one's new. We're doing appetizers and small plates, really something that you can do for a meal for one or two guests coming over, but they're a lot of fun. And instead of just opening up chips and salsa, we thought we'd show you some really simple techniques and some tips and ideas for a lot of fun appetizers. So
yeah, sure.
Good. So we're asking who's cooking with us. If you're cooking, you can turn your camera on and feel free to jump in. If you're not, and you've got perfect, sharp knives are requested. And if you are not cooking and you've got questions, either way, just stop us and we will answer them as we walk through. We are going to kind of go in and out of order just so that we can get things cooked and show you where they are. Some things take a little bit of refrigerator time, so we're not going to go exactly through the PowerPoint as it is, but we're going to walk through it, step by step. And then some of the items we'll cook together that you guys have prepped, and other items we're going to show you different ways you can do it, versions and options, because we always think a good recipe that you can change 100 ways is better than following a recipe step by step. So that's kind of the plan. Again, stop us along the way. And if you are interested in substitutes or things different, just ask us, and we'll stop and kind of go there. So we're going to start with chicken meatballs. So if anyone is cooking that, we are using shredded chicken, which is one of my favorite things to keep in the freezer because it comes out, it defrosts quickly, and you can do so much with it. So we're going to show a couple other ground meat items that you can do, but we're going to start with chicken meatballs that we have transformed into chicken Parmesan.
Yep, perfect. All right. So to start with, I've got a half a pound of ground chicken. I've already shredded up a zucchini, and I just used a box grater and shredded up the zucchini. I've got mozzarella pearls that are going to go in there, and all of our seasonings and everything for the side. This item is best if you make it and then let it set in the refrigerator for close to an hour before you cook it. It just makes them bind together a little bit better. Any of the meatballs that we do, feel free. If you need more binder, if you feel like it's too loose, you can put in an egg. That holds it together well, adds more protein. This recipe doesn't have that. Some people have egg allergies. So I'm doing all of these without egg, but feel free to put an egg in if you want to.
And we're doing this half the recipe.
Right.
So the recipes that you have are for a pound, which is pretty standard, but we're cutting it in half so you can see that you don't have to do the whole full pound and end up with 24, 30 meatballs if it's for one or two people. So we're going to show you what that makes. But again, you can cut it in half and use it. We're going to use the shredded chicken for two different recipes tonight.
Yeah.
Can I interrupt real quick? I just want to
Sure.
just quickly remind everybody that if they go to the top right-hand corner of their screen, they can click on view and select speaker view, and it will allow them to pull your screens up larger, just in case anybody didn't know that.
Awesome.
All right.
I'm gonna change ours to view us.
Okay.
Perfect. Now I can see us. That's better. So I can see the whole kitchen. I'm going to go ahead and start mixing this. Remember, if anybody has any questions, feel free. You can unmute yourself and ask a question. It's sometimes easier to get them live than if you just text in a message on that.
Okay.
And I've already got my mixer. So for the chicken meatballs, again, the recipe calls for 1 pound. We're going to do half of the recipe because we're going to use the other half in our lettuce wraps. And so I've got the ground chicken meat. You can use ground turkey if you want to. You can follow this same recipe and use Italian sausage. You can use
Pork
ground
sausage.
beef, pork sausage, whatever you want to do. Seems like wobbly. Sorry, our camera's not stable. I think somebody bumped our cart. All right, so I'm gonna put in my my chicken. I'm gonna add about a cup since I'm using a half a pound. The recipe called for 1 pound and 1 full zucchini. I'm gonna put in about half of that.
So we're using a standing mixer. If you've got a hand mixer, that's great. You can use your hands if you don't want to mess with any
You
of
can
that.
totally do this by hand.
Yeah.
For sure.
The recipes that we've added, each of the 2 meatballs we're going to show you today have a vegetable component to it. In this case, it's zucchini, and the next one is kale. It's just a great way to slip in a vegetable into it. It takes on the flavor. It adds moisture, so it really removes needing to add milk or even binder. So that's what we're going to see. But it also just adds great texture to it. So it's not just a heavy all meat. And you're using powdered
I'm using
Parmesan.
powdered Parmesan because it's going to mix better. Excuse me. Okay, so I've got my seasonings and my ingredients in here. Salt and pepper always go into everything unless you can have salt and pepper. And then I've added in some Italian seasoning and Cavendish seasoning. I think it goes really well with this and the Parmesan. And I'm going to take it over and mix it up. I've got to put in my breadcrumbs and then we'll be good to go. Perfect.
So while the measurements are there, it is a little bit, every recipe is flexible one way or another. And what you're looking for is to try and get the
consistency. You want it to be able to form into a ball.
Yeah. So one of the things that we talked about is the spices, whether you've got Italian spices at home. Cavender's is another one of our favorite. This is a Creole spice, or Lowry's. And you always have these little packages of different spices that are sitting in the cabinet that you never use, because when you follow a recipe, you use exactly what are there. Meatballs are a great way to use some of those spices to get the flavor. So if you add Creole, you're going to have a little bit spicier flavor. The Cavender's says Greek, but it's a great mixture. So whatever those spices are really takes on the flavor when you add it to the meat. In this case, we're doing it Italian, but you can really adjust this recipe in many, many different ways.
Sorry, the noise.
No problem.
The only thing we're mixing.
Do you need the egg?
No.
Okay.
So you can't, excuse me, you can't get it on the tablet?
Oh,
Here's our mixture. As you
Okay.
can see, it'll form into a nice ball, and that's what I want. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to use a scooper, and this is a 1 ounce scooper.
you can get this at Walmart. They're great
Target,
for cookies, Target. Yeah, they're great for cookies and meatballs. So it's just a super tool to have.
So what we're going to do is we're going to form our ball, and then I'm going to take a mozzarella pearl, and those are the little mozzarella balls that come together. And I'm going to push one into the center. And that's one of the reasons why I like to use this, is then I can just pull it right back up around it. And I've got a perfect little ball with a piece of cheese inside. which is going to get really melty and ooey when you eat it.
So compared to creating chicken parmesan where you're pounding out the chicken, breading it, frying it, or baking it, then making the sauce. We're going to add a little sauce that you can dip this in, but it's a big process and lots of cheese. You're going to get these same flavors. And you can add more cheese, Parmesan cheese to this. You can add
Use
more
Romano,
yeah, you can use different
Tina.
and if they're hard cheeses, that's great. The soft cheese is a lot of fun too. And if you did not find the pearls, you can cut mozzarella log into any size.
Or you could use shredded mozzarella. You could actually mix shredded mozzarella directly into the recipe. It's just you wouldn't have that, ball in the center.
So one of the things that we put in the PowerPoint, if you guys have had a chance to read it, is we have a little bit of a affinity for air fryers these days, and we wanted to talk a little bit about them. Not that you can't make any of these on the stove, in the oven, really, a couple different ways. But the air fryer is so great for making meatballs because it has a grill at the bottom that lets the grease drip down, and it really makes the food healthier. It crisps the entire ball all the way around, and it's able to cook the entire meatball throughout the entire thing. And when you see how quickly, if you do not have an air fryer, how quickly they cook, it's really 10 to 12 minutes at the most, and they heat up well. So if you're going to cook them, you could cook them for 8 to 9 minutes, put them in the refrigerator, and heat them the rest of the way up tomorrow, and they're fabulous. Or you can freeze them. So air fryers are a lot of fun. How many people have an air fryer, just so we can kind of get a feel? I wish I could see everybody's the thumbs up. One air fryer.
Brian and Joy don't have one.
Okay.
We may have to get one after we see this, right?
Well, and this honestly is not an air fryer sales pitch.
No, not at all.
Nor is it something, but we have just found when we were putting this class together, how much we kept gravitating to the air fryer because it does so well. So you'll see we have 2 of them back here. Susan brought hers, so it's exciting. It's so much that we had to have 2 going.
We had a few people on chat chime in and say they had one as well.
Good. Well, for a lot of people, we've heard, I have one, it's in the box, I haven't taken it out, still in the garage. So maybe this will also encourage you to get it out and try some different things. I think so often the recipes there tell you can make French fries, you can put frozen items in there and put your leftovers in there, but we like it to actually cook with. It really does work that way. So just to show you guys, this is the meatballs. The zucchini is present throughout the entire thing, and that little piece of cheese is in there. So we're going to put this in the fridge for about an hour.
Yeah, we want to let that set up because it'll cook so much better. And on Chris's point on the air fryer, Lynn and I, we're empty nesters now, and a lot of times, it takes your oven 5 to 7 minutes to heat up. It takes an air fryer less than 60 seconds. So for just the 2 of us, if we're going to make a meal, for just us, it's so much faster that way. And they're very versatile. We've found we can do an awful lot with it and not have to heat it, especially in the summer, not have to heat up the oven. It stays hot for an hour and a half afterwards. So there are other things, other meatball recipes and everything we can do. Did you want to talk about this one, Chris?
Sure. This is one that Wes pre-made, and it's got kale. And this is one of those things that if you don't like it or don't know what to do with it, it kind of sits there in the grocery store and you don't put it in your basket. It's a great item to add moisture, texture to the meatballs and to other things. What else do you like to do? The soup?
I do soups with kale a lot. In fact, with our air fryer, we actually even make kale chips. But kale is, it's something
And
that
kale chips, you're just putting,
I'm just
spraying
taking-
them with olive oil.
I'm just tearing the pieces of the kale off, washing them really well, and then I'll use a mister and mist them with a little bit of oil. We have a little mister that we put olive oil in, and you pump it up, and then it sprays a mist of olive oil on it. Then you can put sea salt, you can put dried cheese, you can put garlic salt, anything you want. Put them in the air fryer for 5 minutes and you have nice crispy little kale chips. And I think everyone's doctor is probably telling us to eat more greens. Color is good. And this is a good way to do it. I'll make a potato soup and put kale in it. We have a pizza oven out in the back and we'll put kale in our pizza. And, just it cooks down. You don't really even know it's there. And it's a very good cruciferous vegetable to eat.
So there are other recipes that we've included with the meatballs, but one of the things to think about is the flavors that you like. And I use chicken cordon bleu as a good example, that you can bring different flavors, and we're going to use that one later, but you can also do that here, that by taking French spices and maybe putting ham inside of it, or you can take ground beef and you can do, so you can mix and match these to do so many different things. So again, we love meatballs. You can do them a million different ways, and the air fryer is just a great way to do it.
Well, they're a great appetizer, and then they're also a great small meal where you're like, I need to eat some meat. We're going to try some meatless dishes tonight on this one. I'm going to, we have one, the falafel.
So with no air fryer, if you were making the meatballs, you can put them on the stove in a saucepan and
put a lid on.
A little bit of oil, lid, and then take that off, let that brown. You also can cook them on a pan in the oven. They work, that's great. If you can raise them up slightly on a rack, that will let that grease drip down. So you can cook them multiple ways. Another great idea is to put them in a muffin tin so that they all cook separately. You just want to make sure that as soon as you pull them out, you're draining that grease, because it does stay with it.
Yeah, it will.
So that's meatballs. Does anyone have any questions, thoughts on that topic?
We did have a question come through on chat from Jill, and it's directly about the air fryer. If you have a filter, I didn't know there was a filter in the air fryer, but if there is, how often do you change the filter? Do you need to change the filter? Is there a filter?
I don't think ours has a filter.
That's a fancy air fryer.
I don't know that ours has a filter.
We're gonna do
this. I have to check. I know some of them do. This is a handy little thing Susan turned me on to. She uses these in hers, and they're little parchment paper rounds that are the perfect size for your air fryer. And it works really well, because then you don't have, if you have something that's marinated and saucy, it doesn't drip down and burn in the bottom of the pan. And it makes it where your air fryer, sometimes you can cook stuff and pull this out and not even have to clean it.
We'll look in, and if we can find an answer on the filter, I'm not sure. Now, I have had questions about cleaning it and how often you need to clean it. And it's really something that, really every time you use it, you do want to wipe that inside out and make sure that the grease at the bottom is cleaned. I know not everybody does it every time, but it's really a good idea, just so that those flavors are fresh every time that you're doing it. So it's a good habit to do it.
Yeah, if you cook, raw meat in it, like the meatballs, that grease from that, the oils from that are splashing on the side, they're gonna, if you don't clean your pan, that you're gonna pick up those flavors on the next thing. So like, let's say that I know you can cook like crescent rolls and things in it, or like little mini corn dogs or things, they'll pick up that flavor.
Okay, the next recipe that we're gonna do is caprese salad. So you can say it lots of different ways. So Wes is gonna show us the basics. And we're doing it with the pearls, because that's what we purchased and we already have them. And the small cherry tomatoes. There's all kinds of different names for small tomatoes now that taste great. You can do this exact same recipe with the larger tomato, especially if that's what you like to grow in your garden. So this is a good idea. Okay. For those of you that like to grow tomatoes, when you're deciding what size tomatoes, you can do the small ones or the larger size and kind of plan ahead. This is one of the #1 appetizers that are on almost every menu, and it's ordered all the time. And I don't think everyone realized how easy it is to make at home. Very, very simple. It really is 3 ingredients, and that is fresh mozzarella, tomatoes, and a little bit of fresh basil. And then from there, you can add different toppings, whether that's olive oil, balsamic vinaigrette. We are gonna sprinkle a little or drizzle a little bit of this balsamic glaze. This we got at Walmart, but you can get it at Harps. You can get it online, and it is just a very thick version. So sometimes you may have it at a restaurant where it's not just balsamic vinegar that is extremely strong. It has just a really nice flavor to it, and it looks great, very professional when you put it on. And then Wes pulled out, just to show you guys, this is a pesto that he made, and it was in the freezer. So he had the leftover basil from last year and made an olive oil, basil, and pine nut mixture. And he put them in these great little bags. And I had not even seen them, where they're measured a 1/4 cup, half, 3/4, the little snap Ziplocs. But what a great idea. So he double bagged them, and we took it out maybe an hour and a half ago. It's already completely ready to go. So you can have fresh basil on this salad as well. So we're going to show you just a couple different options with olive oil. And you don't have to do all of these, but they're just different ways that you can serve fresh tomatoes and fresh mozzarella. And it's just a great, great dish.
So I went ahead and cut the cherry tomatoes in half. It's optional whether you cut them in half or not. But the worst thing that can happen is you bite into a cherry tomato and it sprays all over your partner or your shirt. So I'm going to take my tomatoes, I'm going to dump them into our bowl. I'm going to add in some mozzarella pearls. Then I'm going to break those apart with a mixing spoon here.
One of the things that we like about the pearls is you can literally buy them and use them for different things throughout the week. You don't have to do them, use the whole thing or the whole log. They will last. They're just a great item to have in the refrigerator. Cherry tomato is the same. So as you're planning ahead, you can use these items and make a very small salad. You do not need to put all of it in there, make the salad and look at it as leftovers. You literally can eat it throughout the week, or you can use them for different items. So it's good.
So we've got tomatoes and salt and pepper, because I always use a little bit of salt and
I'm gonna
pepper.
pull this up so you can see just all the juices. Once you cut them, it starts creating its own flavors, mixed flavors. Yeah.
So now I'm going to take, this would be about a tablespoon of our pesto sauce.
And you can do pre-made pesto sauce.
Yeah, you can buy
Yeah.
a decent pesto.
The recipe that we're giving you is very, very basic. Now we're showing you some options on how you can just add additional flavor to it.
So I'll toss all of this together. And then what I'm going to do to plate this, I'll drop it on the plate. And I even like this mixed up together on a bed of cooked pasta. So I'll put this on cooked pasta to where it's just like spaghetti or linguine in the small pieces. Cook the pasta, drain it, and then put this sauce on top. And it kind of warms the cheese and tomatoes. You don't have to heat these up ahead of time. The residual heat from the pasta will do it, and it makes a great little dish. And we're going to hit a little balsamic glaze on the top.
So if you're doing it as an appetizer where you want each person to be able to have their own, that's a great idea to use the larger size beefsteak or Roma tomatoes, whatever you have on hand. But when you're making it for yourself, making a couple, this is a great way to plate it up. If you're not going to use the pesto, you can cut the fresh basil, again, add the balsamic, or you can just do olive oil and balsamic vinaigrette if that's what you have. So,
Bon appetit.
yes.
So all of our guests on the other side of the camera are like, "Oh, great, we finally get to eat something."
So that is the Italian portion where you get a feel. You felt like you ate a full-blown Italian meal, but there was no pasta, just trying to keep it quick, simple, and easy. And it's great to serve for guests. So lots of fun. Okay, so we're ready to move on to our stuffed vegetables.
Yep,
Sound good?
stuffed vegetables
Okay.
next. I'm going to pull those out, or first pull them out. So stuffed vegetables are basically what we have here, I took small potatoes and I boiled them for about 10 minutes till they just started to get soft.
And you're covering the potatoes?
Covering the potatoes with water, bring them to a boil, let them go 8 to 10 minutes, and then just test them. If you feel like you can kind of squeeze them a little bit, then they're ready.
And these are small potatoes, so that is a whole potato that we're
Right.
doing that to. So you're not cutting them, it's not,
Yeah.
you're letting that whole potato stay there.
And I usually do these the day before. So I will boil the potatoes and then I just keep these in the refrigerator because you can take these potatoes and throw them in the air fryer or throw them in the oven or throw them in a skillet and just get them good and hot and they're ready to go. You can make hash browns with them, cut them into wedges. What I did on these.
And we even put them on charcuterie boards.
Yeah, we put them on a charcuterie board.
Or
the
vegetable
small
tray.
potatoes. And I have a melon baller. You can also use, you'll notice there's not a lot of difference between a melon baller and a measuring spoon. So don't go buy a melon baller, use a measuring spoon. It's the same thing, I just happen to have one. And what I did is I used this to scoop out the inside of the potato, and you can reserve it and use it for something else. I just threw it away. The mixture that I put inside these is cream cheese, pepper jack cheese, some hot pork sausage. You know how you can buy the pork breakfast sausage, the hot, and some green onions. And so that's all ready to go. I also, some of our guests do like mushrooms, some of them don't. I did the same exact thing with mushroom caps. And on the mushrooms, just rinse them off really well, pat them dry with paper towel, and then just break the stem back and forth, break the stem off, and then you can stuff them. Now you could mix chives, chopped bacon, green or cheddar cheese, and sour cream, and use that as the filling. This is just the filling we wanted today.
And cream cheese is another good
It's a good binder.
that pulls that together. One of the things that we noticed is there are so many recipes for stuffed mushrooms that seems to be out there. And we thought we wanted to really break it down and say, you can do this with zucchini, you can do this with potatoes, you can have mushrooms. And a lot of times you have more mixture than you do vegetables. So
Right.
you might as well bring in a couple different vegetables. And in this case, we added sausage to it. When we cooked it when we were practicing for the class, we did bacon and that, but you can do it completely vegetarian if you want to. And
Exactly.
it also is a finger food that is fabulous to put on a tray if you're having guests over, or again, a small plate, put a little
Yeah,
bit
a
of meat
small
in
plate.
it. It is a dinner.
Yeah, do a small plate. You could do some of the meatballs and a few of these potatoes, have a little salad, and there's your meal. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these over and we can start cooking some up.
Yep, we're gonna cook a few. Again, we're gonna do this in the air fryer once so we can cook them a little bit faster. But also it's gonna bring a lot of crispy around it. This would probably be an item that you would want to do in the oven if you're not using an air fryer, and not so much on the stove so that it can get that heat around it. One of the tips that Wes reminds us is that you want to use the broiler at the end, but do not, as you call it, don't walk away.
Don't walk away from a broiler.
So you can put this in the oven. You can even, the air fryer will actually add that crust or that crispiness to it. But in the oven, sometimes you don't want to cook it so much where that happens. So you want to switch to the broiler for 1 to 2 minutes. And you'll notice on all of our recipes, we're basically saying 10, 12 minutes. Well, that is completely depending on how big the meatballs are, how big the vegetables are. So you may need to watch it, but you want to pull it out at that 10-minute and see where things are, and then cook it for a little bit longer, whether it's the oven or the air fryer. And then we're going to recommend that you just switch it to the broiler, and that really, lets it lets that little bit of crust happen on the top, which makes them it looks great. Awesome.
Okay, so this is the Italian sausage and kale. We alternate what we use as our base. I think in some of the pictures we were using rice. I think we use this in this one. We made cheese grits. And so if anybody has a rice cooker, I always make my grits in my rice cooker. So just follow the recipe for the grits and, for the amount of water, usually with grits, it's 4 times. Rice is usually double, but I did 4 times. So I used 1 cup of coarse cornmeal grits, and then I added 4 cups of water, salt, a little bit of olive oil, like tablespoon, just a little, so the water doesn't boil over. Put it into my rice cooker, let it cook, and then let it sit warm. And then once the grits get cooked, taste it, see if you need more salt, and then I put a cup of sharp cheddar cheese in, mix it up. This is a wonderful little dish. This would be a great meal. This and a salad, you're set.
So one of the big differences between an appetizer and a small plate is a small plate is really a smaller version of something, and an appetizer tends to be a finger food. So this is a great example where you actually have a side mixed with the meatballs or mixed with the kebabs that we're going to do next. And so if you choose one, whether that's rice or we did polenta, we've done that. So there's lots of
We've
different.
done quinoa,
Right.
a bunch of different grains, couscous, all
You
sorts
can
of
pick
different
one
things.
plate for each person to have a small plate with, 2 or 3 of the items. And that's, really ends up filling you up if you do a couple different small plates. So, in the case of the meatballs, we did a small salad plus meatballs, and this would be really a decent, nice heavy appetizer or plate.
Yeah.
One of the things that Wes did is he added the curly parsley at the end and some of the shaved Parmesan. One of the things that we love to do, you can order these, or I order a lot of times from Walmart online or pick it up if I'm in there. It's basically $1.19 to have fresh cilantro, fresh parsley, green onions.
Green onions, this is cilantro, that's Italian parsley.
Flat parsley.
Yeah.
And if you do this and you bring them back and put them in a little bit of water, some of them do better when you put a bag over them and kind of keep that moisture. Others are fine even out on the counter. The green onions thrive. And really for $1, you've got this fresh, that just makes the whole meal feel fresh by putting a little bit on the top. So don't feel like you need to buy all 4 of those. Just pick whatever you like that kind of works with it. Rosemary is another great one. Some of these you can even get the plant, put them all in the
Put them in your planner.
and maybe if you water them, then they don't die, right?
Mine died.
Okay, so we are going to move now to another appetizer that's one of our favorite. It is olives and almonds. This is by far the easiest appetizer we're going to do today. And it is taking just a mixture of any olives, whether you go to an olive bar or you just have olives in the refrigerator that you want to use up, or you've got a couple of jars. But we're going to start, we picked the Queen Green olives.
Kalamata, and then we even have some garlic stuff.
So that's where we're starting here, but any olives you want to do, and then we're going to add either blanched or raw almonds that do not have salt on them. If you don't have the unsalted, it is absolutely fine to put the salted one in. Just be careful when you're adding salt at the end that you don't over salt it, because you've got a pretty salty. So those went on top, and then we're going to drizzle it with olive oil.
Yep.
And this is just in a whatever pan, if you can use a pan.
Any saute pan you have.
Any saute pan, you're going to serve it. I often serve it in the pan. So if you've got a copper one or something interesting, you want to just drizzle that, add the rosemary in, which starts to get all the flavors. And we are going to move that to just a pinch of salt. Yeah, because there's our almonds do not have salt on them.
Yeah, our almonds have no salt.
They're raw salt. So that is just going to go on the stove, and we are going to heat it up for about 5 minutes. You want to just watch it. They'll actually burn if you're not careful. So you want to just move that around. We had this for the very first time. My husband and I did in Europe, and it's been a favorite of ours. We don't see it served anywhere here, and it's so easy. So everyone here is even looking forward to trying it. So we're excited about that. So we're going to watch that, and then I am going to jump over and get ready with the kebabs.
Okay, perfect. Any questions from anybody? I'm going to glove up.
Yeah.
Cookers Union.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so kebabs, so much fun, so easy to do. I've already cut all of my meats, I've cut all of my veggies. This is the one that was the recipe that we were looking at doing. This is the chicken, the sweet and sour chicken. I've already cubed my chicken up and I went ahead and added to the two chicken breasts that I did, 2 old chicken breasts cubed up. And I cut them into basically roughly 1-inch cubes. Chicken breasts aren't perfectly square, so you're gonna have some odd pieces. And then I just put in a little bit of soy sauce, about a tablespoon for 2 breasts, and just let it marinate for a little bit. It's going to, that's gonna make it moister and it's gonna add a lot more flavor to it.
But it's not required, so if you
Yeah.
do not have time to.
Yeah, you don't have time.
Marinate, that is just, that's up to you.
And then, because we did a small plates class, I'm using the little 4-inch skewers, but I noticed Josh was making the same dish at home and he's using the larger skewers. And he had a good question. You know, normally when you throw a kebab on the grill, they recommend that you soak your skewers in water for at least an hour so they don't burn. So you don't need to do this if you're going into an air fryer or an oven, because you don't have that direct flame, that direct heat. So these are not soaked in water. And basically, I'm just gonna lace on a little bit of chicken, and then I'm gonna follow the chicken with a little bit of vegetable. So I'm doing some bell pepper, some onion, putting on some pineapple chunks. Kudos to Josh. Josh actually cut his own pineapple. We saw him, he had a fresh pineapple. And you're just gonna lace a few of these on until you have it full with vegetables and ready to go. In our case, we're gonna air fry these. If you weren't gonna air fry them, you can put them in the oven. If you are gonna put them on the grill, make sure you soak your skewers first. And there's chicken kebab ready to go. I'm gonna throw together a beef kebab. This is sirloin steak. I took sirloin steak, seasoned it. I used a little bit of Cavender's and Lowry's salt and pepper, seasoned my steak, and then I'm just gonna skewer on some zucchini squash, gonna throw on some bell pepper, a little bit of red onion, another piece of steak, now some yellow squash, a little more bell pepper. Any vegetable that you like that you can get to the shape where you can skewer it is good. I've seen people try and skewer like pieces of asparagus and green beans and all. They just don't hold up very well on it. So something that you can get a flat surface that you can put a skewer through, that's what you want to do. Now, the steak kebabs, you can season these any way that you would normally season your steaks that you're going to grill or that you're going to cook. You can brush on glazes, marinades, different sauces as you're cooking. And that's what we'll do for some of ours. And then just a few other options is like, this is a beef kielbasa and with zucchini, yellow squash, onions, and peppers. So you don't have to buy raw meats. You know, you can buy a cooked sausage or something inexpensive, put it on here. These on top of the cheese grits with some hot sauce, Mardi Gras.
That's right. So
Here's our teriyaki, or not a teriyaki, our sweet and sour, and our beef. And I'll pull these out so you can show some finish.
So we're gonna go ahead and cook those up and show you what they look like in the air fryer. And then we'll also cook them in the oven in a cast iron skillet, which is another great way and a great presentation to do the kebabs. I'm gonna go back a little bit and talk about the spices. You know, a lot of the times we have grilling spices that are sitting in the cabinet, and you think if I'm not grilling, then I can't use these. This is a great time to use those spices, whether it's Grill Rub. This one is Weber's Savory Steakhouse. This is Kickin' Chicken. There's so many great ones out there. And you can add that to the chicken. You can do it to pork. You can do it with the beef. And what's nice is you can pull one chicken breast out, one steak out, one pork chop out, depending on the size. And that creates your small plate. You do not need to, use the entire tray of steaks to create a really nice dinner. And this is also a way to spread out a steak where you're not just having to cook 2 big steaks and have this really heavy meal, but you still get the great flavor of being able to add these. So lots of fun. So whether you marinate them, whether you add these spices to it, you want to make sure you salt and pepper it, treat it just as if you were going to put it on the grill. And that's where you'll get that great flavor.
Yep.
So this is, and I think we can go close up. So these went directly into the oven. We just sprayed a little olive oil into the pan, and then we cooked them for about 12 to 15 minutes. The chicken was the smallest pieces, so that one went really fast. The kielbasa were just really heated up. And then depending on how much chicken or how much meat is on there, you just want to watch how long that timer is. Again, we put that as a range. You really want to watch it. You're just looking for your beef to be done. If you like it very rare, cook it for less time, or go longer. And you can have a heat thermometer or meat thermometer to check this and make sure that it's cooked, just to verify. But a lot of times you can tell when it's cooked. If you're going to add the sweet and sour sauce or something, you want to do that really 1 to 2 minutes near the end, or it will burn. So you don't really want to marinate with a sugary sweet sauce. You want to add that to the end. You want to use soy sauce and kind of mix those two together, and then pop the burner or the broiler on at the end, and everything just gets a great.
It's a nice caramelization. And the center one, this is the tandoori chicken.
We're going to do that one next.
Yeah. So perfect. I'm going to slide this into the oven.
Okay.
Because I'm going to let this heat up so our.
This is our messy one.
Yes. So everybody, did we send the recipe for this one?
Yeah.
The tandoori? Okay. So the recipe's out there. This is a fabulous seasoning and spice mix. It has yogurt mixed in it, but it's something that we already have them skewered because you really need to marinate this for a couple of hours for it to really get its flavor. I did this overnight, and then we skewered them up, and then they'll go into, we're going to cook them in the air fryer. But as you saw from the other pan that you can do these in the oven as well. What I like about the air fryer is it gets some nice crispness on it. You get some nice caramelization and colors. And then when this gets done, we'll serve this with a tzatziki sauce. You can also make pitas.
Add it to a salad, make a sandwich.
Yeah.
So there's so many. So in this case, this is all meat. So it's not only marinated overnight or for a few hours, it's all meat. So you don't always have to add vegetable to it.
Right.
But pretty much any meat marinade, you can convert that into doing kebabs.
Yep, exactly. Bring this over. And Chris, I've got some stuffed vegetables that you want to see those?
Absolutely.
All right. So these are the stuffed mushrooms on this side, and on this side are the potatoes. As you can see, everything's cooked up. They're browned nicely. This was in the air fryer, and this is what you want. You want them to have the cheese to be bubbly and be melted, and you want it to be caramelized and brown on the top. And so this mixture is cream cheese, pepper jack cheese, hot pork sausage, and some green onions, and stuff it in mushrooms and potatoes.
And you can add chopped green onions to the top of this. And if you are going to make them a couple times during the week, don't fill all of them. So you want to keep the mushrooms separate, and you don't even want to clean them until the day that you're going to cook them. And the potatoes, keep in an airtight Ziploc bag. Even if you parboil them, or boil them.
Yeah.
And then you can bring it out, then fill them and cook them. So you always want to cook, not always, but it's fresher if you do it that way, and it's really easy, 10
Yeah,
to 12 minutes.
I would rather cook these fresh than have them as leftover. Potatoes, you can heat them and cool them a couple of times, and then they'll just kind of quit getting soft.
So another suggestion that we have in there is to do the same thing with zucchini.
Mhm.
So basically, you're going to cut the zucchini, scoop it out the same exact way, and then let that cook on the outside. Same
Yeah,
filling.
sweet little peppers. You can do the same thing with the sweet little peppers.
Or jalapenos going,
Yeah.
it's the other way, but you can stuff the same. So keep in mind when you need to eat more greens, that this is a great way to do that. And what you put inside, use any kind of a stuffing or dip recipe, whether that's artichoke dip or other cheese mixtures. As long as there's something that's binding it together, it will sit in that little pocket and cook up well. Not everything's good with cheese, right?
Right.
I think everything's good. Okay, we're gonna make the falafel.
Make some falafel. Let's see. We'll bring out the tray. Here it is. Yep, perfect.
How are we doing for everybody? Anyone have any questions as we're going through? We started a little bit later, so we're gonna try and move through, but if we're talking too fast, just let us know.
Things are going good. I've got skewers made, and so I obviously made much, like you said, much bigger ones than what you guys made.
All right.
Trying to fit the whole family, but about to pop those in the oven. We did have a question come through on chat. What kind of potatoes are y'all using for the stuffed veggies?
Oh, those are little Yukon Golds.
Okay,
Yeah, but
cool.
you could use the little red potatoes. There's some really neat varieties coming into the area now. You can get purple potatoes. Any of the Dutch baby butters, those are nice. Any of those potatoes, the secret is when you boil them, you don't want to cook them. You don't want to boil them like you're going to make mashed potatoes.
Right.
You don't want them that soft. You want them to hold together. You cook too long, then your crust will start, or your peel will start to kind of come off. Can you toss that?
Cool, thank you.
Excellent. So we're going to jump back to the olives and almonds. Olives and almonds are hot, ready to serve. We'll go ahead and bring this over for our group to eat. And then what we'll do is I'll go ahead and pull some of the rosemary sprigs off to kind of mix in with it. And then it's ready to eat. Think about this with some cheeses, maybe a nice salad. It's just a really good dish.
Their goals are growing. They able to see Black athletes on the
So one of the things we like to do is test some different textures. And so one of everyone's favorite is to make falafel. Did I say that right?
Falafel, yes.
So we've been practicing that word because we love it. And it's using chickpeas. Now Wes likes to start from the beginning, let them soak. And how long did that take when we did it the first time? Overnight?
Oh, no. I put the dried chickpeas, rinsed them, put them in a pot, brought them to a boil, and then let them sit 2 hours in hot water, and then they were ready to go. They were ready to use. But not everyone's going to do that. And since then, we've tested it with cans, and they both seem to work out really well.
Good. So you're going to show us how to help. Okay.
I don't have to touch any food on this one. All right, so what we have here is we have 1 can of chickpeas that I've drained. I've opened the can, drained it, put it in a bowl. I have half a cup of shredded carrot. I have half of a head of Italian parsley. You can use curly parsley, any parsley is fine. Half of a head of cilantro. I have half of an onion and 3 cloves of garlic minced up. And then I have all of my seasonings, too many to mention, they're on the recipe, but all of my seasonings together and the sesame seeds are in here as well. Half a lemon for my lemon juice. And then I've got a good solid tablespoon of sriracha or any chili garlic sauce. I just like sriracha, I like that brand. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of this in a food processor. There's really not a way to get it the consistency you want by hand. So you'll need a food processor for this. But then this mixture needs to sit at least 3 hours in the refrigerator to firm up. So I'm not going to mix this, but I have already mixed some that we can make. And as I'm hoping everybody can see, I'm going to actually scoop some out and kind of show the consistency. You put a glove on and I'll show kind of what it should look like once it's gotten together. It's gluten-free, it's full of protein, and it's totally vegan.
Sentencing of convicted murderer Mauricio Torres. And with her just a bit, but first.
So as you can see, my mixture is soft, but it'll hold its shape. And that's what you want. You want it to be able to hold its shape. And then it's really soft. As you see, I can push down on it.
And how long was that in the refrigerator?
I made this last night and let it sit overnight. Now, you can, if you have a deep fat fryer, you can deep fat fry these. We're going to cook them in the air fryer. You can cook them in the oven. If you're going to pan fry them in a skillet with just like a ½ inch of oil or something, what I would recommend is make them not round balls, but more like patties. Because if you don't make them like a patty, what's going to happen is, yeah, they're going to want to get this shape anyway, because it's basically cooking only half of it at a time, and then you can flip them over. But these are wonderful, wonderful, very flavorful, very, very nutritious, and you know, it gives you a chance to say, I want a vegetarian.
It's also the flavor you can use. There's so many different dips out there that are Middle Eastern, Indian, that all work so great for adding with this. And in this case, we did, we're gonna make it, but I'm showing you the tzatziki sauce, if I'm saying that right, which happens to be a Greek sauce, but there are others that go great with this. So you can find some pre-made, and others you can look up a recipe to make them. They're very easy. A lot of them use the Greek yogurt or use sesame. One of the recipes we made last time used the sesame paste. It was wonderful. So this is a great time to explore making a great dip with this, and you will just love the outcome.
Awesome, awesome. Do you want me to make some of that real quick?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And that's what I.
So Wes is going to make a simplified version if you don't want to use the store-bought version, so that you can see. And there are many different recipes out there that have garlic and all kind of dill and lots of different flavors. This one happens to be with mint and lemon, Greek yogurt, and cucumber, but you can get much more elaborate and add a lot of flavors. And if you let it sit overnight, and it's even better.
Yeah, it gets even better. And so I did not put any garlic in this. And the reason that I didn't put garlic in this recipe is because we're going to eat it with the falafel and the tandoori chicken. And both of those have a lot of garlic in them already. And I didn't want it to be garlic overload. So on your mint, when you buy mint, if you happen to have an herb garden, it's probably dead right now because this time of year. But if you happen to have an herb garden and you grow mint, use fresh mint.
It's always a good idea to grow mint in its own container.
Yeah, its own container. It'll take over the whole yard.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to tear off the leaves. I don't want the stems. I just want the leaves. And I'm going to take these leaves over and I'm going to chop them all up and put them in the bowl. And then we'll add the cucumber, which I've already shredded on a box grater, just, you know, grating like you'd grate cheese. And then I'll put in the lemon juice and some salt, and this dip will be ready to go.
When do you decide whether you're just stirring a dip together or whether you're putting it in a food processor and just pulverizing?
If you put this in the food processor, you would lose all the consistency of the cucumber. This cucumber is 90% water.
And it's what's holding.
And so it would just be real runny. I really like the texture of
When you
having
keep
this great.
So if you're making ranch and you want all of that combined together, it's
Thank
gonna change it's gonna mix all that together. Whereas in this case, we want to hold that, the onion or whatever you're putting in.
Correct.
So
Mixing bowl.
when do you chop? When do you cut? How do you handle herbs? What's your,
So, basil, a lot of times I'll leave whole or tear. Basil bruises. I'm sure you've all cut basil and then been like, well, why is it getting
oh,
dark?
brown,
Why
yeah.
is it getting brown? So it tends to do that. If I'm gonna cut up basil, if I'm gonna chiffonade it, roll it and cut it, I'll do it very last second.
But mint can handle,
Mint can handle it, plus it's gonna go from here right into the sauce.
and then, so grating the cucumber is really the best way to prepare it. If you don't have a grater, just cut it up into small.
Yeah.
Thin pieces.
Small thin pieces, I would think, yeah. So I've got a cup,
And you're.
and this is plain,
Plain regular
yeah,
yogurt.
plain
You can
regular,
Also use
yeah.
Greek yogurt, whatever you have on
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah, Greek yogurt is really more traditional in it. My wife does not like Greek yogurt, so we make this with plain yogurt.
But really either consistency works, it's just
Either
a slight
consistency,
difference in
yeah.
flavor.
It's just a slight difference in flavor.
But make sure you buy plain and
Yeah.
not vanilla.
Yeah, don't
You'll
use
be
vanilla.
really shocked if you pick up the vanilla on accident. It's only a few little words, but
Yeah, and they all look the same. And I'm gonna hit it with a pinch of salt,
so it's always good to
about a quarter
add
teaspoon. Yeah,
some kind of vinegar or
Mhm.
lemon to,
yeah, this is gonna be a chunky sauce, which is what we like in it. Then we're gonna thin this down with a little bit of lemon juice. That'll add some acid and that'll really balance everything out. This will eat alongside with our falafel and our tandoori
Tandoori.
chicken. So for so long, I was always using these ones. Because you would think the way it's shaped, right, that you would put it into where it fits in there. Somebody turned me on to the fact that, no, you're doing it wrong. You put it upside down and it totally makes such a difference in the amount of juice that you get out of it and how well it does juicing the item. Because when you're juicing the other way from the open side, what ends up happening is most of your juice sprays out on you and you want it to go down into your dish. So, fun fact. So I'm gonna mix in all that lemon juice. That was a half a lemon. Always adjust your seasonings, always tell everyone, you gotta taste what you make.
and you can add garlic.
You could add garlic,
dill.
you could add pepper and stuff to this. Oh, that's good. I am gonna actually, because of the acidity in that, I am gonna go ahead and add an inch more salt.
Okay. Sometimes the cucumbers have more flavor, it just depends. This is another trick that we love, and that is tasting spoons. I have been collecting just spoons that I get at different antique stores. And you can keep them there and it lets you taste the food. You just put them all, wash them all at one time. And so you can use some of the little dessert spoons. These are just old antique silver spoons, but they wash up great. So you just put them right by the stove and it'll make you think about tasting a little bit. So lots of fun. So I plated this up. So there is the tandoori chicken.
Tandoori chicken and falafel. And show you.
You can hold that up. So you've got the side dish. You can plate this up in a small plate, one for each person, or you can serve these separately as their own appetizer. And you may want to do maybe 2 or 3 different sauces instead of just the one if you want to try some different things. So.
And the falafel, as you'll see, it's nice and moist inside. You've got a good consistency. It holds together. That with that yogurt dip is really good. Traditionally served in a pita with some lettuce and tomato and that tzatziki sauce on it. It's a great cooling dish It's one of those dishes that when it's really hot outside, you can eat that and it feels like it cools you down.
And you can do the chicken that way, you can do
Chicken
this,
that
you can
way.
do this with beef, different foods like that. So it's just a great summer, really anytime
Mhm.
meal, so. Awesome.
Okay, we're 6:10.
How's everybody doing? If anyone needs to take a break, kind of let us know. This is a good, break time. If we want to just stop for 5 minutes and let everybody fill their wine glass or take a quick potty break. And do we have any more questions?
That's what I'm looking to see if we've missed anything. Someone had to leave. Potatoes, okay, yeah, we're good on those. All right, so you guys want to take a quick
Like
5, let
5
us
minutes,
reset?
just so, since we started a little bit late and that should keep us in good time.
How are we doing on what we got?
We are gonna do lettuce fries
Nice,
next.
nice. Okay, super. And then we've got to cook our chicken kebabs. All right, so I am going to mute
So we are.
Okay, we're back on. Is everybody with us?
We're
So
here.
during this little break, we have to tell you that the air fryer got a little crazy.
Air fryer got a little hot. We had a little smoke.
It was not Susan, it was not. So be careful. We're cooking a lot of stuff and going through, but you do want to still keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
Because it can get hot and there's lots of grease there.
Well, those paper filters are wonderful, but you have to have food on them or it will get sucked up into the air fryer and get real hot real quick. And that's kind of what happened to us.
So
But
this
that's
is
okay.
just
We got
like
a
a little-
window crack, the vent's on. We're good.
Awesome,
Okay, yeah,
awesome.
we're good.
Okay, we are gonna jump over to lettuce wraps, which I think, does everybody order those every time they go to P.F. Chang's? Like pretty much every
Yeah,
time. We just can't not
You
go.
gotta get
and-
lettuce wraps. Lettuce wraps and wontons, which
Yeah.
we should have done in this class.
I know, maybe we'll do it next time.
Yep.
But the lettuce wraps are literally so easy to make. And sometimes when you look at Copycat, there's like 87 ingredients to make them. I don't think you need to make that many.
No.
Lettuce wraps can literally be done with any kind of Oriental food, but you can really do them with Mexican food, with different flavors of Oriental food. Really a lot of different things, right?
Yeah,
The
'cause we've
same
done
thing
some
that you're doing
shredded
ground
pork.
beef.
Yeah, we did shredded pork,
You can
lettuce
do
wraps.
chicken, you don't have to do ground for sure. You can chop it into small pieces and do the same thing. So if you've got a chicken breast that you want to use up, you've got pork, you've got beef. Consider a lettuce wrap as a great option that is also gluten-free, depending on the soy sauce and stuff that you use. But it just kind of produces healthy, and look at all this color.
Oh, yeah, it's
You know,
beautiful.
so
Let me get the dog out. Just a check.
one thing that
He wants to be on TV.
we didn't really talk a lot about is just ground chicken. It is one of our favorite, keep in the freezer refrigerator. And again, it works great for adding these vegetables and things, just a great base, I guess you would call it. So we're using the other half of the chicken.
Yep. So we're gonna take our ground chicken. This is a half pound of ground chicken. I'll let my skillet get hot. Always heat up your skillet before you put meat into it. You want to go ahead and get it start searing as soon as it goes in. I never like to cook meat in a cold skillet because what'll happen is as the pan's heating up, you're just getting all the moisture out of it. And that sear is what keeps the moisture in the meat. And you really want to kind of get that sear on it. So
And you're adding
Little
olive
bit of
oil or
olive oil.
sesame seed oil if you have it,
Yeah, you can use-
avocado oil, just a little bit base on there.
coconut oil works really well. It's very, very common to have coconut oil in Asian dishes.
And a lot of our friends, might be gluten-free or they've got different allergies. We try to have lots of options out there where it just becomes very normal, not feeling like you've got to cook something special for someone. People are just trying to eat healthier, and this is just a great option. So each thing that we've told you, you can eliminate or add stuff depending on what those food allergies or like. Sometimes like Lynn, doesn't care for certain things, so we always.
She's not allergic to it, she just doesn't care for it.
So if you make kebabs in 3 or 4 different ways, you're going to make someone happy.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna take my chicken and the oil is shimmering in the pan and it's nice and hot. You hear it searing. So I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna go ahead and just start browning my chicken. And normally, anytime I put meat in the pan, I immediately add some salt. Not going to this time because we're gonna add the soy sauce, which has a lot of salt. You can use a low sodium sodium soy sauce if you want. So I'm gonna let that cook a little bit.
And in this particular case, the ingredients we're gonna use are canned water chestnuts, so you can
Yep.
keep those in the pantry.
Yep.
Chopped
Chopped
garlic,
garlic.
which you can keep in the freezer or in the refrigerator.
Yep.
Shredded carrots, which is for us a must have. I think
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
$1.99.
shredded carrots go in everything.
Put it on the grocery list and you'll use them throughout for different things. I think you have them in the falafel.
Mhm.
They could have gone in any of the meatballs.
Oh, yeah, they could have
So-
totally gone in any of the meatballs. And then some green onions.
And then we've got lime and then soy sauce, which you've got on hand. So all of these items, literally you can keep in the refrigerator and make this dish any night.
Yep.
I'm gonna jump over and talk about the bib lettuce. We had to track down a little bib lettuce when we were looking for our groceries. So they don't have it all the time, but I tend, if I see it available, whether I'm ordering online for Walmart or I'm in there, to grab it. So I know for sure that's gonna be a week we're gonna have lettuce wraps. Because this is my favorite. It is so sweet, easy. The size is great. So you can just put a little bit on each one. So if you're gonna do this as an appetizer, you can fill the tray, add a little bit of the meat mixture and make individual small plates of the lettuce wraps. Or you can use the larger and you're making yourself a salad or a lunch that's really a salad version. This is something great you can take to work too, because you can put this mixture in its own little compartment, heat that up, take some lettuce pieces with you, and it works great. And you also can use this lettuce to make a salad, so you don't want to let it go.
Yeah, don't think that it's just for wraps.
Right.
So our chicken is done. All right, our chicken is done. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add our vegetables to it. And the water chestnuts, because I want to go ahead and get them all cooking.
You can also buy a mixed oriental vegetable in a can is another option, and that will tend to have bean sprouts and additional things. There are also frozen versions. So if you like a lot of different vegetables, that is a great way to do that. Just gonna clean up this lettuce a little bit. Grab some of the sauces. We are all about adding different flavors and sauces to what we're making. And in some cases, you may want to make them from scratch, but this is the sweet and sour sauce that we used on the kebabs. There are probably 3, 4, 5 different versions that you can do. This one is not spicy. It is, easy to use. This is a sweet chili sauce. So this one's got a little bit of fire. It is fabulous to go on top as a flavoring on your lettuce wraps. Also, you can have dipped the kebabs in that. And this is another one, just a oriental. This is from Trader Joe's. So we grabbed this and it's just more of a dark with sesame seeds. And it's just classic Asian dip. So sometime when you are shopping, whether it's out and about or at a gourmet store, grab one of their unique sauces, and that kind of becomes what you use on your lettuce wraps, on your kebabs. Don't feel just because we created a marinade or said you had to put sweet and sour. This is a great time to use that, and so often, even I do it where the sauce goes to the back of the refrigerator and you forget to use it. This is a great time to just pull these different sauces out. Someone may want sweet, someone wants spicy, someone else wants a little bit more savory, and it's a great addition, and it really fills your small plate or your salad or tray. I'm going to put a couple different sauces out for everyone to taste. And this is ready.
Okay.
I spilled this earlier, now I can't get the lid off. I need the strong hands.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, our mixture is ready to go. Bring it up to the camera so everyone can see. My carrots are soft. Everything's nice and hot. Got my green onions in here. I've got my water chestnuts that are diced. Got a little soy sauce. If I were gonna just go ahead and make these and eat them, I would put one of these sauces that I like in it. But we're gonna serve sauces on the side so people can put which one they want on it.
Another tip, if you buy any kind of chopped coleslaw, we tend to all use it for a recipe and the rest is there. You can add a little bit of fresh coleslaw just like you would lettuce to your lettuce wraps, and it adds some crunch. You can add additional carrots, the raw carrots rather than the cooked. So you kind of got both flavors going on. And you can also add the little crunchy noodles is another additional. So add texture if you've got those. Open up a can, add a little bit of that, and it just has a great a great taste to it. I filled your whole plate. And then we're gonna serve it with the lime,
wedges.
and you can squeeze that yourself on it.
Place my lime wedges around. Sprinkle on it.
That's a big piece. The dogs are barking.
The dogs are barking.
So again, we got a few more vegetables in just to keep it healthy. Good idea. Keep our teeth healthy.
Yep.
Our bodies and our teeth.
So there we go, lettuce wraps, ready to go. Y'all ready? You want them? Okay.
Here we go.
Lettuce wraps coming at you. What's next, Chris?
We are gonna make wonton cups. This is probably another one of our very, very simple recipes, but it is a crowd pleaser. So we would be remiss without.
You
Let's
scoop
see,
it?
let's see this.
You want to scoop it?
So we provided this recipe, and yes, it's 3 ingredients plus wontons. It's that simple. We are taking some type of sausage. In this case, we use spicy. You can use whatever sausage that you like. You want to brown that sausage or heat that sausage up. And then you want to add cream cheese and a full can, liquid and everything of Rotel. Go as spicy as you want or keep it mild. That cream cheese just brings all those flavors together. We have created this with spinach artichoke dip. Pretty much any heavy duty dip is fabulous in this. You can make it yourself by adding cream cheese, spinach, and artichoke. You can add a meat to that if you want. The options are just.
If you have leftover, if you have a Super Bowl party and you have leftover cheese dip, you can put cheese dip in these cups. Chili.
The
any
ground
sort of thing.
chicken, if you have,
Yeah.
if you cook the one and you've got the other half of ground chicken, again,
You take the same stuff we put in the lettuce wraps, could go right into these, go right in the oven.
absolutely. Yep. So we are just gonna scoop these in each one. These are wonton wrappers. That was it.
Yep.
Sure. If you've not seen them before, you can get them. I think they're $2.99. We're telling you some of the prices that we know, because some of them are so inexpensive when you can do an entire small plate or appetizer tray. And basically, they are just small wonton wrappers that you can put in a mini muffin tray. We cooked these for about 5 minutes, I think at 350, and just got them started. And then we're scooping the mixture right in. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah, because as it heats up, it'll drop down in. Just put a scoop right on top. And this is just, this is the same sausage that we used to stuff the meatballs with. I just bought a tube of, can I say brand names? I think I can. Jimmy Dean, hot breakfast sausage. And we took we just took 1 pound of that in the tube, heated it up, cooked it all the way through, and then refrigerated it. Did that last night. So the meat was ready to go in. We just put that cream cheese, the Rotel in. We took the other part of that meat and mixed it to go into our stuffed veggies.
This is a great item that you can make ahead. So you can make the dip. If you've got your sausage left over, go ahead and brown all the sausage so it's ready to go. You can mix this, put this back in the refrigerator, just pull it out right before you are planning to eat or serve your guests when they're gonna arrive, and you can heat them up. I definitely would recommend just doing the wontons the day of. But you can, these are, put them in a Ziploc bag and they will stay, put them,
Yeah.
back in the oven or the air fryer. Now, looks like I got one more. So this was a half a roll of sausage, a full thing of
Made it,
cream cheese
yeah.
and a full can. And we were able to make this whole tray. So we're gonna pop this in the oven
350 degrees.
for about 8 minutes or so.
Yep.
Set the timer.
Set the timer. Set a 5-minute timer and then
Yeah.
we'll check it when we're done with that.
Oh, well, no, they're doing.
And these are vegan. So if you do want to do complete vegetables and, you know,
You can take the falafel mixture and put it in those.
that would-
I think that
Chris,
would work.
Chris, I got a question.
Yeah,
Did you did you cook the wonton wrapper first, or it is
Yes.
it?
for 5 minutes, on 350. And some of the recipes say you can, some say you don't have to, but it really makes the bottom more sturdy. So
Okay.
it's a lot easier if you're serving it, to a group and you want them to be able to pick it up. It's a little bit stronger when you go ahead and pre-cook it. And we cooked it about, 2 hours ago, so you can definitely pre-cook it before your guests arrive. It can be cool because it's gonna heat up, so. But that's
Okay.
my recommendation. We also put a little bit of spray, Pam down below, and then, that way it's
any
not
pan
sticky.
release will work, yeah. So our chicken, zucchini and mozzarella, our Italian, meatballs, they're ready now. They've sat in there in the refrigerator till they're nice and firm. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those over so we can start getting them cooked, so you can see a finished product.
And we just grabbed a jar of spaghetti sauce. We're just gonna heat that up, as our dip, for those meatballs.
Oh, yeah. She's filling that up. Here's some tandoori chicken. You can see how it got a nice color on it from the air fryer. It's nice and caramelized. Something like this would be great in a pita or on a flatbread. You could pull the meat off the skewer, have it on a salad with that yogurt dip. It's really, really good. Okay, what are we doing next?
We are going to make dessert.
Ah,
And then we're gonna finish up with the charcuterie board and answer any questions and.
okay, so I do differ that this is dessert. It is what we're going to be making for our dessert, but it's what I actually made dinner last night. Because we love
No
baked
judging.
brie. We love baked brie. So
Really just grilled cheese sandwich.
yeah, it's kind of like a baked grilled cheese. It's just an adult grilled cheese sandwich. And we're gonna put in some walnuts. We're gonna put in some dried cranberries. You can buy a small package of walnuts if you want. You don't have to get a big package. We happen to have some. So we typically roll this in either puff pastry or we'll roll it in crescent rolls. And I think in the pictures that I sent over, we did it in crescent rolls. But I was at the store, and I'm gonna see if everyone can see this, picking up ingredients. They now have a crescent dough sheet because they know people make baked brie and other things. You could even make a beef Wellington with this, but it's a whole sheet and it's not cut at all. And since it's not cut, it's not as processed by a machine. So it's 50 cents less than buying crescent rolls. So
We're all
I'm
about
just-
finding
yeah.
a good buy.
yeah, so I was really impressed to find this. So let me get a cutting board over here.
So
I'm gonna
if
show you a bread.
if you are making brie for a large crowd, you can do this exact same thing we're doing, leaving your round as it is. We are gonna go ahead and make it a small plate, a bite size so that it's easier to grab or plate up for each person. But you can do this exact same process by leaving it whole.
So feel free to message, but does anybody besides me get freaked out opening these things up?
Waiting for.
I mean, just waiting for the pop. Because it's always like, I know what's gonna happen, but you just don't know what's gonna happen, right? Like opening champagne. Okay,
There we go.
so that wasn't bad, yeah, all right. So what we have here is this entire sheet. It's just like the regular crescent rolls, but it's not, it's one whole sheet.
I love that.
So we're
Good
gonna roll the
find.
whole thing out. And then we're gonna make 8 out of this. That's 5 minutes on our timer if you wanna look at your cups.
I'm gonna give them 2 more minutes.
Perfect. Wow, I got a pizza cutter. Alright, so what I wanna do is I wanna make 8 equal squares out of this. So I'm gonna start by cutting it in half. Cutting it in half the other way, and then cutting it in half again. They don't have to be exact, we're just gonna wanna get the squares, because each one of these is gonna be our rebite.
And when you
Then-
buy the other, they're triangles. So
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
great.
so this is good because it's the right size. So brie is a natural aged cheese, and the outer part of the brie is very, very bitter. Baked, it's not so bad, but I always like to remove the outside edge.
So
I'm just
not
gonna take-
mandatory.
It's not mandatory. If I was baking the entire brie, I would probably still do this, but you do not have to. You see a lot of recipes where they don't, but this is just that it's a healthy, natural mold that's on it, but I tend to take that off because to me, I don't like the flavor of it.
And it's still stable.
Yeah, still stable. It doesn't hurt anything to eat it. It's perfectly safe. And then I usually just scrape it with the side of my knife until I get down to what you really would consider to be the rind of the cheese. So the outside edge of the cheese where it's aged. All of this, I'm just gonna scrape off.
How many of you have had baked brie before? Or maybe I should go the other. How many of you have or haven't had it? Because it
I've
is-
had it.
You've had it. If you
I've had it.
we need to warn you, it is addicting because it's wonderful. So when you want to try this, it just has such a great flavor. All of it mixes up together. But everybody that we introduce it to wants more. So it is definitely at every event. It's on the request.
Okay, so now I'm gonna cut my brie down the middle. You can now see the nice soft center. And then what I'm gonna do is cut my pieces. And you want about 1-inch cubes. So I'm gonna take the exact center out of this, and then we can put these pieces on our charcuterie. Those would be great for that. I'm gonna drop a piece of brie flat in the center of each one. And I'm gonna top a few nuts, and I'm gonna kind of.
And you can use pecans,
Yeah,
walnuts,
walnuts,
almonds, or leave them,
Brazil nut, whatever, any kind of
macadamia,
nut. Macadamia.
or leave them off if that's not
Yeah.
good.
If you don't like nuts, you can use peanuts. Probably wouldn't, but you can. And it doesn't matter that it's like, oh, well, it's not staying on, it's falling off, because we're gonna wrap these up.
Chris,
Yes.
your wontons, it's been 2 minutes.
He's trying to save your kitchen. We set our fire alarm off regularly.
I looked at them when I was getting this cutting board, they weren't ready.
They are beautiful. I'm gonna put some green onions on them and I will present them in a moment. Thank you.
You need a plate or anything? All right, thank you for that. That helps. All right, cranberries. And it doesn't matter if they're not all in the center, because we're gonna wrap this up. Perfect. Slide. I'm gonna bring this over for when you do your charcuterie, Chris. Great.
So here we are, the wontons. I added a little bit of green onions. You can add jalapeno slices. You can add any
Yeah,
of
chopped
the chopped parsley. And these really are, again, filling. You can serve them with a little dish on the side, but they will definitely fill you up. And these are also pretty addicting. They're one of our favorites. So
They're great for parties.
thank you for the reminder. We didn't need
Yeah.
any additional smoke.
Yeah, well, my timer just went off, so I think it would be good. All right, so got my pan with foil, my oven's on 350 degrees. I sprayed a little bit of Pan Guard or pan release or Pam, the product on there. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the corners, I'm gonna bring the corners together. So now it kind of looks like a cannoli. And then I'm gonna bring the other corners. I want all four corners to come together. And then I'm gonna pinch the seams down and it's gonna make a papusa. It's gonna make a little purse. So what you're gonna have is a little purse. Looks kind of like an Asian dumpling. And where you had a square, you bring all four corners together. And you want to kind of pinch those tight because as your cheese melts, it will run out. I can slide over and do these if you need to show something. Pinch these corners. Slide this over and let you show.
This is the Parmesan chicken meatballs. We just did heated this up in the microwave. You can heat it up on the stove. Again, the chicken is beautiful. You can see all the color. The veggies are cooked. And then we just did some shaved Parmesan on top.
You need to open one.
You want to open them?
Yeah, open one up so you can see the melted cheese on the inside.
Perfect. Okay. Just got a few more of those. Okay, we are going to, I'm going to start clearing up just a little bit because we want to finish the last 15 minutes or so showing you how to do a charcuterie. For those of you, if you've never made one, it's really easy. It's a lot of fun. And we recommend that you pull anything and everything fun out of the refrigerator.
Yeah, it's a good fridge clearing.
It's also a great idea when everyone says, if people are coming over, what should I bring? And, you know, it's always easy to say, oh, nothing, it's okay. What a great idea to say, bring your favorite cheese, meat, some toppings. So I am going to go through these. And can I have that? So I am going to use this cutting board, but you can use any wood cutting board, tray, whatever you have. Marble.
Yeah.
And you don't feel like you've got to fill the entire thing. You can spread it out. I'm also, I've got different tools, a simple knife. This is for honey. Just a wooden knife and then a sharper tool depending on, oh, those are beautiful.
All shaped and ready to go in. I'm gonna slide these in the oven and they're gonna take, I wanna check them at about 8 minutes. So whoever's got the timer out there, remind me, about 8 minutes, I wanna check them. They're probably gonna take 10, could go up to 12, just depends on how big they are.
So what I like to do is start with whatever cheeses I have or whatever is there. And we're gonna plate the cheeses. You can pre-cut them. So you can cut them into little cubes if you would like, but you can place the cheese. I'm gonna open that one.
Sorry.
Another great tip, and I'm not gonna do that just because of our time, but is to take goat cheese, if you like that, and roll it in any spices. You can roll it in vegetable dip mixtures. You can do Italian mixture, or you can do it sweet with nuts. Roll it, and then it looks beautiful on the tray. So buy plain goat cheese and do that. You can dribble it over. Don't worry if your cheese, if you've already used it and you're bringing it out again, they look fabulous. We're going to use just different crackers that we have. No worries. I like to just kind of spread them out. No need to worry about being neat and organized. In fact, I think when we do it messy and and unorganized, it tends to be the most fun. You can also add grapes, just adding them different places just to add color. Open up a jar. This is a Hutchins Creek Farm spicy strawberry jam that I bought at the craft fair.
Oh, nice.
You can open it up, just set it
Set it
down
right on the table.
right on the table.
Interesting.
Thank you very much. You can add blackberries, raspberries, whatever you might have, just a few, just to add some interesting color. Apricots is another great item that dried fruit is wonderful. I'm gonna add a few of these little baby pickles. I got these at Aldi's, one of my favorite little stores to pop in and find yummy little things. You can add olives, pickle to the tray. Nuts is another great touch. These are roasted almonds. You can just sprinkle those right on. These are macadamia nuts. Don't be afraid to just dump. You can also use, this is a mixture of different nuts and dried fruits. If you've got one, and add a little bit, again, just adding some color. Meats are another thing that just about every charcuterie board loves to have, and you can put them as is. Sometimes I'll fold them into little decorative pieces and place them around, or you can just set them as is and just do a layer of them, or you can even roll them. These are just small pepperonis, so if you've got them left over from pizza night, you can add those.
That's looking really good. And you can have some of your olives and almonds with this.
That's right, that's great with them. Another thing, and I don't really have that much room, but you can put tortilla chips and add a little bowl of
Fresh salsa.
fresh salsa. So I'll put a few of those out there, and you can add just any little bowl and fill that with salsa. This is the salsa that we all made together and canned
Yeah.
last time. So we'll put that out. So really any mixture, if you are gifted a kind of a chip mix, this is another one of this party mix. So any of these that you have, just add great to it. One of the tricks that I recommend by far is to always have a little bit of jelly and some honey. And I'm not sure what happened to our honey. We're gonna brag about that honey.
Oh, yeah, we gotta have Kim's honey.
And this is just a little bit of rosemary, just to add a little fragrance.
Yep.
You can tell a
Yes,
little bit.
this is Kim's honey. Ken is my father-in-law, and he's recently got into bees. And so he has a
Got
bunch
into
of,
these?
got into bees. He has a bunch of hives. And so he now has hives on his property. So none of us ever want to go walk around his property because there are beehives everywhere. But he makes fantastic honey and repurposes jars and writes Ken's honey on them. But it's fabulous honey.
Love it. So then we would just put the honey there, and then this is a honey scoop that just lets you pick it up. So we're gonna use that in just a second. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
get this out of the
We'll drizzle
way.
this on our baked brie when the baked brie comes out.
So there is, and how much time? Did I do that in 10 minutes? So sorry. Okay, we're pretty quick, just trying to stay as much in time as we could. But you'll add your knives so it's easy for someone to cut. They can grab a cracker, a piece of meat, dip the chips in salsa, grab a grape or two, And you want to make sure adding that greenery, this adds a little bit of color. You can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's all sorts of different accoutrement you can get for this, different forks and knives and wedges and kind of make it.
And you can make this as small as you want to. No need to stretch it out this much. I just had the items in the space, and then just add your knives and your different pieces to that. So, and then as it empties, you can fill it up a little bit
Yeah,
with
throw a
different
little
things.
more
You
on
can
it.
leave this out really the whole evening. And it has the sweetness to it and savory, and it will feed a nice crowd.
Yeah.
So
Excellent. And it looks like it's getting ready to be a nice crowd.
yeah, they're waiting.
Okay.
Where do you want this?
So we're waiting for a brie. So we just are gonna bring the brie out and share. So maybe this is a good time to answer any questions as we're waiting for the last one. Sorry, I rushed through that a little bit. I hope everybody could see what I was doing. I just wanted to make sure we stayed as much on time as we could. So if anyone wants to unmute and ask any questions, I'm gonna say thank you on camera to Susan for jumping in and helping us cook. We were discussing earlier how we were going to keep up with cooking everything, and asked her for help, and it was great. And Lynn for taking all the food and helping us do that. So we really appreciate it. And to my dad, who's also here watching with us, I made him do the mixture for the sausage cups all by himself. So he couldn't say, well, I don't know how to do any of that stuff. So maybe next time he has people over, he knows now that he can make his own appetizer and doesn't have to just open up a bag of chips and put some store-bought salsa out. So we'll see if that happens.
Guys, I just want to say,
Oh,
my
wow.
skewers turn out good. They're more of a meal than an appetizer.
Oh, yeah,
We're made it with a little side of rice, and me and my wife are gonna make a bowl and let the kids just kind of eat it like a skewer.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna say is, what I really like about it is you mentioned this on the slides, that typically the sweet and sour chicken's made with fried chicken. You mix it all together and it's made that way. And so I like this take on it. It's a little bit healthier take, and
yeah.
the baked chicken or grilled chicken or whatever.
And you really can take almost any Oriental dish and do that. Beef broccoli works great, whether you're, putting that in the oven or the air fryer. That stock will hold, like you were saying.
Yeah.
You want to have something that's sturdy. So you can basically create that by using that sauce and a couple of vegetables that are in any of those recipes. So don't be afraid to try some different mixtures and, eat a little bit healthier. Again, this wasn't about food allergies or about eating healthier. It's just all of us are trying to eat more greens, eat a little healthier, maybe skip the drive-through at the Chinese restaurant and eat at home. And those lettuce wraps are they're fabulous.
Yeah, they're a great dish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Question about the olives.
Uh-huh.
They were hot in the pan, so do you let them cool before you serve them, or how is that served?
We serve them warm and they just taste fabulous, but as they cool down, they still taste just as good. So if you've got them out on a table, you're serving people, they just continue, they're wonderful the whole evening. They've got that flavor of the rosemary in them. So you might let them cool down just a little bit. We probably heated them up maybe a little bit more, but it worked out great.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, sure. And that's also, you can do that in a much smaller, if it's just a quick snack that you want, you can do that and add it with your meatballs. It's kind of a side salad. You don't have to make as many as we did. We just filled the pan, but there's no need to do it that way for sure.
And they have those little mini muffin pan things that are half that size.
Yeah, in the air fryer that I have has all those little cups and different things, so they fit exactly into it, and so I can use them for different things, but every size is a little bit different, or you can get a small pan that fits into it and separate it. So again, I know it sounds like it's an ad for an air fryer. It's really not. We just couldn't believe how much, as we were putting these recipes together, it enhanced it. So it really was a secondary thought, but hopefully it's for those of you who are thinking, man, I wasn't using the air fryer for anything but heating up some leftovers or doing a few simple things that someone told me how to do, you might think differently about the meals that you're making, especially the kebabs and the meatballs. Every week I put them on the menu because it's so easy and we
So
end
quick
up
and easy.
eating less.
And it's faster. Had we have made all of this in the oven, we would have been rotating the oven in and out constantly, and it would have had really struggled to keep up with the heat.
And if we would have made chicken parmesan, we would still be cooking. So you're able to get those flavors that we all love, whether that's, fresh caprese salad or sweet and sour chicken. You got that flavor without 2 or 3 hours and a million ingredients. So, all right.
So I'm gonna bring these over. I'm gonna focus kind of in on this side. You can see your cheese running out. That's when these are done. You can brush them with a little egg wash, an egg and a couple tablespoons of water, and brown them up more. I don't mind them this color. I don't like them overcooked.
Right.
And then what I'll do is take from here, I would serve it. I know we're almost out of time.
You also can put a jelly inside too. If you've got a jelly that you love, like the jalapeno strawberry is another option. So you can put different dried fruit. So the apricots would have been fabulous in there too.
So drizzle it with honey. And I usually throw a few extra walnuts on the plate, and that's ready to eat. One of my favorite things to do with this is what we had last night. Is I'll just throw some greens on a plate, and this is just your basic, store-bought mixed, salad greens. Throw that on top of it, throw a few nuts, throw a few cranberries.
And you could do a balsamic vinaigrette or oil and
Balsamic.
vinegar.
I just still go with honey,
Mhm.
and
Oh, it's beautiful.
it makes a perfect little salad that's got some substance to it. So it's a nice light dinner.
So this way it's a little bit more dessert. This is a side salad
Yep.
or your whole meal. You can just eat all of those. As long as you eat lettuce, then it counts.
Yeah. Like I'll eat all of these. So, questions? Comments? I think we're hitting, 7:01.
We caught up. We did pretty good.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
No question. But it's been a very awesome evening and I certainly
Great.
appreciate it. Yeah,
Great.
I didn't cook tonight, but I can't wait to start some of this stuff.
Well,
Awesome.
good.
And we gave some,
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And there's some alternatives in the recipes as you go through that you
Mhm.
might want to try too.
Yeah, and then feel free to message any of us, through the email that's on there. If you want to try something, and you want to try, or if you have a question about a different recipe or something on it, one of the things we did is typically I make my own sweet and sour sauce instead of buying a sweet and sour or stir fry sauce. I have a recipe that we uploaded, but there's several ingredients, and so time constraints. We just thought we would use this, but we can post that recipe.
Sure. And then we'll try
Cool.
and
Thank
find, you're welcome. Do the research about the
Air fryer.
filter air
Yeah.
fryer and learn what we can there, because we're learning too.
Yeah, I didn't know they had a filter.
Good. Well, if you guys have any other questions or anything, feel free to email me and we'll get back to you. And then this is recorded, so you can go back and watch the class and
Yep.
hopefully,
It's
You
step
got
by
some-
step again.
got some tips and tricks, and we hope it makes you stay home and cook at least one more day a week and find something that you really enjoy doing that's different from your normal habits. So, good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Chris and
everybody.
Wes again, and everyone, give us a few days, and like they said, we'll get the recording sent out. You'll get an evaluation, so please fill that out, because we hope to have Chris and Wes back to teach many more classes for us. So thanks again, and have a great evening.
All right,
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.